Would you please stand as the International Choir sings the national anthem?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare almost bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the home of the brave?
Would you please be seated? The International Choir will now present a musical selection.
Just one voice singing in the darkness. All it takes is one voice singing so they hear what's on your mind. And when you look around, you'll find there's more than one voice singing in the darkness, joining with your one voice. Each and every note another octave, hands are joined and fears unlocked. If only one voice would started on its own, we need just one voice. They sing the unknown, and in that one voice we stand beyond.
It takes that voice, just one voice, singing in the darkness. All it takes is one voice. Shout it out and let it ring.
Just one voice. It takes that one voice.
And everyone will want.
Everyone will.
Everyone will sing.
Thank you. Students, honored family members, and friends, welcome to Cal State LA's Master's Commencement and Hooding Ceremony. At this time, I would like to acknowledge the Chair of the Academic Senate, Dr. Raymond E. Garcia, the members of the university faculty, emeriti faculty, and staff representing the university's 6 colleges, the John F. Kennedy Memorial Library, and the administration for their contributions in assisting students to excel and achieve their goals. Will these members of the university community please stand and be recognized? I would like to acknowledge the members of the platform party. Will these persons please stand and be recognized? Thank you for being with us this evening. We are privileged to have as our master's commencement speaker today, Dr. Darlene Robles. An alumna of Cal State Los Angeles, Dr. Robles has served as Los Angeles County Superintendent of Schools since September of 2002. In this role, she leads the nation's largest regional education service agency, serving 80,000 students through 12 school districts, with nearly 2 million students. In 2005, Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa selected Dr. Robles to co-chair his Council of Education Advisors that seek to improve the Los Angeles Unified School District. During her 30-year career as an educator, Dr. Robles has served as chief of the Salt Lake City School District, where she successfully helped close the achievement gap and to significantly reduce the dropout rate. In 1991, she was named superintendent of the Montebello Unified School District in Los Angeles. She is the first Latina and the first female to serve in this position. Before becoming superintendent, Dr. Robles served as a teacher and coordinator of bilingual and bicultural education, as well as an elementary and intermediate principal in the Montebello Unified School District. Dr. Robles earned her BA in history at Cal State Los Angeles before going on to receive her master's degree in education from Claremont Graduate School and her doctorate in education policy and administration from the University of Southern California. Dr. Robles remains active with her alma mater today, visiting campus on a regular basis to work on projects with Cal Los Angeles and the Los Angeles County High School for the Arts, and to attend concerts at the Luckman Fine Arts Complex. Last year, Dr. Robles was honored with Cal State Los Angeles' Distinguished Educator Award. She is a prime example of the power of education, and her work as an educator and administrator is paving the way to success for students from all backgrounds. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Dr. Darlene Robles as our keynote speaker this evening. Dr. Robles.
Thank you, Dr. Rosser. President Rosser, I should say. Distinguished faculty, staff, graduate class of 2006, family and friends, it truly is an honor to be part of your master's commencement ceremony this evening. Today we celebrate a truly remarkable class. I know because I've been reading about some of your achievements, but I'm delighted to return back to this campus in the heart of our city and our county. It brings back many fond memories when I was at Cal State Los Angeles in the late 60s, early 70s, where Cal State LA gave me my start into higher education more than 30 years ago. With that first degree, a Bachelor's of Arts in History, I received a sense of accomplishment that has been with me ever since. It helped me set my course academically and professionally and launched me into a career as an educator. For that, I will always be grateful to the faculty and staff and students who were part of my academic career here at Cal State. Today, after a long climb, you have also reached a summit from which you can look out to the horizon and see your own future. You can see new fields of opportunities to explore and conquer. It's also a point from which you can turn and with gratitude recognize all those who have helped you along the way. And I suspect by all the cheers and applause as you were walking in that many of these important people are with you here tonight to share in your triumph and your success. When Dr. Rosser invited me to speak at this ceremony, he reminded me of something of which he is proud, and of which we all can be proud. This university has one of the most culturally diverse campuses in the nation, a student body that is truly representative of California, the nation, in the 21st century. It's not just that the demographics reflect the diversity of our county and state, though this is true and very important. And it's not just that this diversity enriches the campus, which it certainly does, but this is a university that values diversity. It sees itself as part of the surrounding community and sees as part of its mission to serve that community. And it does so in a unique way. And too often, colleges and universities do not follow in the same path as Cal State Los Angeles. That is why I'm proud to have attended this university and still be part of its rich history, culture, and diversity. And I suspect that many of you, because of the values of diversity and enrichment and the community service, you have chosen this university. Cal State Los Angeles taught me that part of getting an education is giving back to the community which has nurtured us. And this is really what I am here to talk to you about today. As I said, you reached a new summit. And to reach it, it's taken your talent and your tenacity. And many of you, in fact, I'm sure a large number of Cal State Los Angeles students, like myself and my family, are the first in your families to attend a college or university. And since college is often associated with tradition, what a great way to start a college and a family tradition. But I regard all of you, whether or not you are the first in your families to get a master's, to be pioneers and trailblazers. In furthering your education, whatever your background, you are all setting examples. You are role models for your families and your community. More and more adults are attending and graduating from college, but unfortunately not enough. The percentage is rising, but it's still an elite group. In 1990, about a fifth of that population had a college degree of a bachelor's or higher, but it's only a little higher today. But now, you today are even in a more select group. Those who have a master's degree represent only 9% of the adult population. Congratulations to you. As I've said, you have joined a very elite group, something to be proud of. You have reached that high plateau, and that's why we're here today celebrating your accomplishments. So what comes next? Now that you have your master's, hopefully you'll make more money. And there's nothing wrong with that. And live more comfortably. I think those are the parents out there saying yes, thank God. But what I want to do is to say simply this: there's more to do. You've shown the dedication and the commitment to get this far. We applaud you, and you should pat yourself on the back too. But your work is not done. In fact, it's just beginning. I am fond of a quote from an American president who blazed a few trails of his own, President Theodore Roosevelt. He said it best: "Far and away, the best prize that life has to offer is the chance to work hard at work worth doing." The message to me is that you roll up your sleeves and you pitch in. And that's perfectly suited for this audience because you're all hard workers. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. And there's work to be done. In fact, the world is full of work worth doing. You are now leaders in your field. As leaders, you'll be expected to have a high degree of personal credibility, be more effective in meeting job-related demands, and the more that you act as a leader, the more likely it is that you will have a positive influence on others with whom you work, and indeed make a difference in the lives of others. This is the expectation I and all of us here today have of you, because you are leaders. Just take a look around this community, this vast metropolis. The problems are all around us. They're huge, and the growing disparity between the rich and poor is very obvious. The need for systems and services to address the issues of homelessness and poverty are critical. The inequities of distribution and opportunity are there. But in the face of all these critical problems, we need you now more than ever. As a county superintendent of schools, I represent students and families of high need. In fact, the communities we serve have acute needs for exactly the kind of skills you've been studying and mastering in your graduate programs. I am so impressed when I glance down the list of academic disciplines represented by you, our master's candidates. With more than 50 degree programs within the university's 6 colleges, arts and letters, business and economics, engineering, computer science and technology, health and human services, natural and social sciences, and the Charter College of Education. Let's clap for all the colleges. One thing you can say about this class is that there's a lot of talent. And I think we've just demonstrated what an elite group you represent. Whatever discipline or profession you're pursuing, obviously it's something you believe and you're willing to dedicate your life to. So along with that dedication and the talent and commitment that have gotten you this far, you have now acquired the tools to make a difference in your life and in the lives of others. By tools, I mean the level and depth of knowledge that you have attained in your chosen field. It is that expertise that confers a special responsibility, and that is why I say to each of you that I have great expectations. It's true, there are great challenges before you, but I'm confident that you are equal to those challenges. And I'm not going to be shy or hesitant about making that call to you and that action and that expectation. The generation following you demands it and expects it from you. I know they will not be let down. They are depending on you to continue their mentoring and support so they can follow in your footsteps. Whatever your professional future is, the arts, business, science, technology, nursing, or teaching, there will be many, many opportunities to make a difference. I hope you'll take advantage of those opportunities. And there'll also be opportunities for you to encourage others to follow you. I know you will want to give back to those who supported you and helped you reach your goals. So I'm going to borrow from a theme from a movie you may have seen a few years ago. I urge you to pay it forward, because each positive thing you do to help those around you will have a ripple effect, touching a widening circle of people and ultimately bettering the future for all of us. Albert Pike, an American author, said it best: "What we have done for ourselves alone dies with us. What we have done for others and the world remains and is immortal." I know each of you have within you the heart and soul to give the best to the world, and I'm excited by that future, for all that you will do. So with my deepest, deepest congratulations to each of you for everything that you've done and accomplished, I am delighted to be here with you, sharing truly one of the great, memorable days of your lives. Go forward, make a difference, enjoy what the future holds for you, and best wishes in pursuing your future goals. And thank you for allowing me to share this evening with you. Good luck.
Thank you, Dr. Robles. It is my pleasure now to introduce the Dean of Graduate Studies and Research, Dr. Jose Galvan. Dr. Galvan.
Your program explains the meaning of the symbolism distinguishing each color of the academic regalia. Hoods are lined with the official colors of the university conferring the degree. Thus, the many colors before you this evening. The candidates for the Master of Arts, Master of Business Administration, Master of Fine Arts, Master of Music, Master of Social Work, and Master of Science degrees are listed beginning on page 25 of your program. Now I have the honor of introducing the Chief Academic Officer of the University, Dr. Herman D. Lujan, Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs.
It is my pleasure to introduce the deans who will present the candidates. Dr. Bryant Alexander, Acting Dean of the College of Arts and Letters, Dr. Alexander.
Will the marshals please lead? Will the faculty in the College of Arts and Letters who are assisting with the placement of the hoods please take your places on the platform? And now, will the marshals please lead the candidates for the Masters of Arts, Masters of Fine Arts, and Masters of Music from the College of Arts and Letters to the platform, as well as the Masters of Arts and Masters of Science in Interdisciplinary Studies.
Dr. G. Timothy Haight, Dean of the College of Business and Economics. Dr. Haight.
Will the faculty of the College of Business and Economics who are assisting with the placement of the hood please take your places on the platform? Will the marshals please lead the candidates for the Masters of Arts, the Masters of Business Administration, and the Masters of Science from the College of Business and Economics to the platform? Please be seated.
Dr. Sherry Hawley, Acting Dean of the Charter College of Education. Dr. Hawley.
Will the faculty in the Chartered College of Education who are assisting with the placement of hoods please take your places on the platforms? Will the marshals please lead the candidates for the Masters of Arts, of Science from the Chartered College of Education? Please come lead them to the platforms. Thank you, Jim. Please be seated.
Dr. Kwei Wu Tsai, Dean of the College of Engineering, Computer Science, and Technology. Dr. Tsai.
Will the faculty in the College of Engineering, Computer Science, and Technology who are assisting with the placement of the foods, please take your places on the platforms. Will the marshals please lead the candidates for the Masters of Arts and Master of Science from the College of Engineering, Computer Science, and Technology to the platforms. please be seated.
Dr. Beatrice Yorker, Dean of the College of Health and Human Sciences. Dr. Yorker.
Will the faculty in the College of Health and Human Services who are assisting with the placement of the hoods please take your place on the platforms? Will the marshals please lead the candidates for the Master of Arts, Master of Science, and Master of Social Work from the College of Health and Human Services to the platforms?
Dr. Desdemona Cardoza, Dean of the College of Natural and Social Sciences. Dr. Cardoza.
Will the faculty in the College of Natural and Social Sciences who are assisting with the placement of the hoods please take your places at the platforms? Will the marshals please lead the candidates for the Masters of Arts and the Masters of Science from the College of Natural and Social Sciences to the platforms? Please remain standing.
President Rosser, I present the candidates for these degrees. Will you all please rise? President Rosser, they are recommended by the appropriate college faculty of California State University, Los Angeles. Dr. Rosser.
By the authority vested in me, I hereby confer upon you the master's degree for which you qualify. Congratulations. Would you please be seated? A graduate degree represents membership in a community of scholars and professionals. You will now enter these communities with the wisdom and the friendships you have developed at California State University, Los Angeles. Today, we salute your achievements and look forward to your future accomplishments. We also look forward to your taking on these responsibilities with integrity, creativity, intellectual rigor, professionalism, and commitment. On behalf of the entire university community, congratulations and Godspeed. Thank you to today's musicians, the Cal State Los Angeles Wind Ensemble, conducted by Professor Abel Ramirez, the members of the International Choir, led by Professor William L. Balin, and Student Director Aaron Foley. A very special thank you to our interpreters for the hearing impaired, Ms. Shawn M. Clark and Ms. Jan Seeley. I would also like to thank all of the university staff involved in organizing this special event and acknowledge the members of the Honors Convocation and Commencement Advisory Committee. Thank you. Would the audience please remain in your places until the last students have left the stadium? Would the audience and graduates please rise for the university hymn? You will find the words on page 20 of your program.
Our Thank you.